What's up? A lot of people ask the question, is it even pizza? Hell yes, this is a pizza, and a really dope one when it's made properly. Today, we're going to be getting into the colossus of crust, the Chicago-style deep dish pizza. I'm going to be talking to the how
Essa é a pizza pronta?
and the why this whole thing works. So if that sounds like
Eu
fun,
acho que é. Achei diferentemente estranha.
stick around. Let's get started.
Essa é a pizza?
So, as some of you guys
Caralho. Tipo, quê? Nunca vi essa pizza não, mano. A bicha é bem grossona
might
mesmo.
know, I'm from Chicago. I grew up in the suburbs and I lived in the city for about 8 years. And during that time, I was able to eat at just about every classic, well-respected deep dish spot, like Giordano's, Malnati's, Pequod's, Chicago's. They're all really
Caralho,
dope,
tipo, é
but
bem grossona mesmo a pizza, né?
they're
Por isso que
all
é deep.
pretty different. So what's the thing that unites all these pizzas and makes really great deep dish? For me, after making a lot of test pies for this video, I think it comes down to 4 things. Number 1, a really tender, flaky cornmeal butter crust. Number 2, a chunky cooked pizza sauce. As some of you guys know, I'm not a huge fan of the added complexity.
É, provavelmente eles devem pegar o tomate, cortar o tomate, moer o tomate, fazer todo o processo, não comprar, né?
Cooking
Já
a pizza
pronto.
sauce, but when you're making a literal pizza pie, you need to concentrate things a little bit. And I'm going to get into that a little bit more later on. Number 3, fresh, hot Italian
Deve ser
sausage.
bom, né,
If you're in the
mano? Não
pizzeria,
sei.
you can get whatever you want on the pizza. Comes in all shapes and sizes. But if you want the real deal Mike Ditka, Dub Bulls, Ashland and Clark style pizza, you got to have Italian sausage and a lot of it. Today we're going to be making our own, and it's going to totally slap. And number 4,
Puro molho de tomate pra caralho.
full fat, slightly aged mozzarella. We're looking for a product that's almost golden in color. This is going to give us a superior
Mussarela.
stretch. It's also going to give us
pouquinho
a
velhinha.
funky, rich milk flavor that's really memorable. Oh, and one more, maybe
O caralho, meu amigo. Taca a mussarela pra sorbeter, cara.
like a number 5, which is you really got to bake this thing hard, and it's got to be almost fried in its pan. You got to put a lot of oil on the outside to get that signature deep dish style. So that's the setup. If you've got all that stuff going on, then in my mind, you've got a perfect deep dish pizza that anybody who's cool will like. Let's get right into the process here, though. Let's get started by grabbing.
Vai, mostra como é que faz, pai.
Into that, we're going to measure 450 grams all-purpose flour, 15 grams of salt, 40 grams of cornmeal.
Aqueles farinha de trigo, depois salzinho, depois que porra é
A little
essa?
bit more coarse here, and I think that's probably the best way to go.
Tá,
On top of that, we're going to add
fubá.
12 grams of sugar and 9 grams of dry active yeast. I'm going to pop the top on this thing and then chop in 110
fermento.
grams of cold butter that I've cut
Aquela
into
famosa
smaller chunks.
manteiguinha,
This is the
né?
same method I use for the Chicago-style suburban thin crust pizza, and I really like how
Contei com meu amigo que saiu sexta do castigo.
flaky
Ih,
and tender
sabia
the
que tava
final dough
pego
is.
na
We're going to take this until the butter is
manheta.
broken down and the whole thing looks kind of
Processador
pebbly,
isso.
just like this.
Não é um i5 não, processador. KK.
In the R&D part of this, I tried 2 other methods of getting the butter into the
Olha, a
dough,
farinha ficou
including
bem, né?
lamination like a croissant,
Diferenciado.
but both gave me a really toothsome, overworked crust that wasn't really classic Chicago
Ah,
style.
já vai
After the
tacar
butter's
o-
all chopped in while the food
Aguinha.
processor is still running, we're going to stream in 275 grams of warm-ish
Tá,
water,
fazer a
like
massa ficar
85 degrees
mais-
specifically. That's going to take
Tá,
about
tá, tá,
15
tá, tá.
seconds
Agora
to
começa
fully
a ficar
come
tá, tá,
together,
tá,
and once that's all spun up, we're going to run it for about 5 or 6 more seconds, and there. I love how this dough looks. The butter gives it a satiny
Pô,
shine,
bonitinha.
and the cornmeal gives it a sick golden color that you just don't see very often. I'm gonna flip this out into a medium stainless steel
Não usa
bowl,
tudo pra pizza, ele faz pra outra receita. Ah, tá, entendi.
wrap it with plastic, and then set a 90-minute timer. While that dough is rising, we're gonna prep out this pizza sauce. To get started there, we're gonna
Bota
grab
seu
a
ralo na
quarter of
frente,
an
pô.
onion, clean it up, and then grab a box grater.
Aquela
On the
cebolinha
largest
rosa.
whole side, we're gonna grate this whole thing down. Breaking it
Nossa.
down really far like this
Tô
helps the
chorando,
onion melt
cara.
into the background of the sauce a little bit easier.
Cebolas fazem chorar,
And even though we
viu?
want a
Vou processar
relatively
cebolas.
chunky sauce, we're gonna grab 2 garlic cloves and just run that through the garlic press. I'm gonna throw that on top of my onions, and then to actually cook
pá.
this sauce, we're gonna go over and preheat a 10-inch saute pan over medium heat.
Dá pra
Once
fazer
that's hot, I'm
aquela
gonna throw in about 2
refinadinha, né?
tablespoons of butter. Chicago gets really cold
Ui,
in the
dois
winter, and
plaquinhos
having a
de
lot of
manteiga.
full-fat dairy really helps meat stick to the bones. Once that butter's melted, we're gonna throw
Sal,
in the
alinho,
onion,
tá.
garlic, and 5 grams of salt. I'm gonna stir things up and let them
Salzinho.
saute for about 2 to 3 minutes over
Dá
medium
aquela
heat, or
refogada. O
until
cheiro
things
da
are
refogada é
softened
muito
and just
gostoso, eu
starting to
gosto,
take on
véi.
some color. At that point, I'm gonna add in about 40 grams of tomato paste, and we're gonna fry that off for just a second.
Pasta de tomate? Cara, eu juro que eu nunca... Pasta de tomate? Eu nunca tinha ouvido falar disso, não.
That stale, ketchupy, metallic taste that I associate with tomato paste. Next, I'm gonna add in one
Tá.
28-ounce can of high-quality crushed tomatoes. These
Tá,
are a
tá.
California brand that
De
I
alta
get at
qualidade. Então o molho de tomate ele não fez, ele comprou também.
Whole Foods that I really like. It's about $4 a can, and that's kind of expensive, but the quality here makes a significant difference in my opinion. I'm gonna follow those tomatoes with 10
Tá bom,
grams of
tá
sugar
bom.
and 1 gram
Pouquinho
each
de
of
açúcar.
dried basil and
Olhei basil, eu achei que era Brasil.
dried oregano. Okay, I'm gonna turn the heat down on this sauce now and let it simmer on low for about 20 minutes. After that 20 minutes, things are looking
20 minutinhos para dar
concentrated
aquela...
and slightly more intense and dark. At this point, we're going to give it a
Aquela,
taste.
sei lá
It
que
should be
processo vai
almost like
acontecer, ó.
marinara sauce for breadsticks at Pizza Hut.
Ah,
That means it
fica
should taste
bem, tá
very
vendo?
good. Okay, I'm really happy with this sauce. We're going to cool this off
Tá lá,
and throw
tá
it in the
bem
fridge. And I'm going to grab 1 pound
pixazinha.
of fatty ground pork to make some sausage. I'm going to cut this open and flip it
Ah,
over into my medium
carninha.
stainless steel bowl. You may have noticed that I use this bowl pretty much in every episode here, and that's because I love it. It's one of
O homem fala rápido, né? É, o bicho é
my
ligeiro.
all-time favorite pieces of gear. It's really easy to clean.
Ou
It's
tira o
the perfect
doce
size
do
for
sal
my
e do
scale of
açúcar. É,
cooking.
então
I'll
fica
throw
um
a link
negócio
down in the
bem
description if
equilibradinho,
you're
né?
interested. Okay, into that pork bowl, we're going to measure 7 grams of salt, 1 gram of black pepper,
Tá.
3 grams of paprika, 1 gram of chili flake, 1 gram of dried sage, 1 gram of garlic powder, 5 grams
carai.
of sugar. That's clearly not 5 grams
Bota,
of sugar.
é molho, filho, é
That's way too
molho.
much sugar. Apparently, I'm
Ué,
trying to
molho,
make
aliás, é muito
candy
tempero.
pizza. To finish this off, we're going to
Tá
add 2
gostoso,
grams
né?
of toasted and crushed fennel seed and
Erva
5
doce,
grams of
toma.
red wine vinegar. The move
Vinagrinho,
here now
vinagrinho.
is to just mix everything up.
Carnezinha
I like to use a
moída, vai
glove
só,
for that
poc,
because
poc.
cold, wet meat is
O
kind
cara
of
nasceu com 2x embutido. Ô, pior que é mesmo, cara. Pior que... Tá no normal, né? Ó, olha o vídeo no 2x como é que fica.
a buzzkill when you're using camera gear, so this glove makes things a little bit easier. After a minute or so of kneading this, a really delicious, sweet, and spicy Italian sausage. But the
Parece
only way I
eu, cara.
can
Tô
know that
falando
for
rápido pra
sure
caralho.
is if
Ó.
I cook a little piece off and have a little snack. So we're gonna head over to the stove. I'm gonna heat a medium saute pan and throw in about 1 ounce of sausage to
Tá.
taste. I'm just gonna sear it for about 1 minute per side, and then we're
Olha,
gonna give it a
murchando,
bite.
da
Tastes
hora.
really good, and it was really easy to make. This recipe is gonna make
Ó.
more sausage than you need. I like to freeze the rest here for later use in stuff like bolognese or ragu or whatever. The last major item on the prep list here is grating the mozzarella. This
Ué,
gold
beleza, ele... Guarda, né? Congela um pouquinho aí, não vou usar tudo não. Deixa aí, foda-se.
mayonnaise or ragu or whatever. The last major
Realmente eu entendo o inglês 2x, mas esse cara não tem como. Mano, ele é muito... Ele normal, ele é 2x, tá ligado? No 2x ele é
item on the prep list
4x.
here is grating the mozzarella. This golden
Caralho.
full fat mozzarella has a much better texture
Mano do
and flavor
céu.
than your run-of-the-mill part skim that you find at most grocery stores. The move for this cheese is just a standard
Tá.
grate on the biggest holes of the box grater. We're gonna use about 10 to 12 ounces per pizza all day.
Ai,
This
cara, aquele queijo... Mano, tem que ter muita mussarela, irmão. Taca essa porra
is
demais.
a 2 pizza recipe, so that would be about
Vamos,
24
vamos.
ounces of grated cheese total. Once it's all broken down, we're gonna
Ó.
scoop it up and throw it into the fridge with the sausage and the pizza sauce and let that all hang out while we get our dough
Tá.
sorted out. Speaking of that, after 1.5
Pegou,
hours,
deu
the
aquela
dough has
guardadinha e falou,
roughly
não, vamos
doubled
primeiro
and it
terminar
looks
de cuidar da
buoyant
massa, né?
and alive. When I poke
Olha, ó.
this dough, it's gonna indent, hold it for a
Parecendo uma
second,
massinha de pão,
and then
pouco,
slightly
entre
bounce
aspas,
back.
né?
I'm
Aquelas
gonna
pão
lightly flour
integral.
my cutting board and then the dough, and then I'm gonna lightly flip it out. We're gonna cut this into 2 roughly equal pieces and then pre-shape them a bit.
Cara, sabe essa faca que você tá vendo na mão dele? Não é faca não, eu esqueci qual é o nome disso. Não é faca, é cortador. Eu acho que é cortador multiuso. Tem um desse lá no meu trabalho, eu fiquei com uma vontade de pegar, mano. Acho que é uns R$50, né? Porra, é mó multiuso essa parada, cara. É uma faca barra cortador.
Very rough round ball.
Ó, colocou
We
naquele
really wanna
triguinho, dá
maintain
aquela
as much
amassadinha, né?
tender flakiness as possible, so a simple tuck and fold here is all we need. Once those are
Ah,
shaped,
então não quer que amasse muito nem nada. Não é pra deixar a massa fininha, é pra deixar mais grossa
we're gonna
mesmo,
grab
tá
a half
ligado?
sheet tray and hit them with a few glugs of olive oil. After that, we're gonna move
Azeitinho?
these dough balls
Uhum.
over to that sheet
Aham.
tray, and then we're gonna cover the whole thing with
ele
another
vai
sheet tray,
assar?
and we're gonna let it do its final rise in the fridge. That's gonna be for about 1 hour. This cold final
Sim.
rise helps cool
Ah, não, assar não, cara. É fazer o contrário, né? Vai colocar na
and
geladeira.
reset the butter and the crust. That's going to give us a much more pie-like flaky and puffy texture in the oven. After that 1 hour, the doughs have grown by about 50 to 75%, and they're looking golden and satiny and just really pretty in my opinion. Okay, to get to business,
É, tá um pouquinho mais
here we
dourada,
have
um
2
pouquinho mais dourada.
options for baking these pies. Number 1, and my preferred choice, is a 9 to 10 inch
É aí onde é que ele vai fazer, né? Uma forma... Nossa, essa panela parece ser carinha e pesada pra porra.
pan. The heat transfer here is amazing, and the crust gets really well fried and browned. So the other option here
Cara, eu lembro que a minha avó, acho que a minha avó, ela tinha uma panela, tipo, de ferro, assim, fundido. Caralho, mano, a panela, velho, se tu tacar na cabeça de alguém, mata. Sério mesmo, panela pesadaça.
regular size cake pan in general, and it will
Quanto que é
definitely
ela, mano,
still
você acha
work,
assim
but
aqui
the
no
crust might be
Brasil?
slightly less crisp, so it's up to you. Today, the B-boy chooses cast iron. But set all that aside for now and lightly flour
Né,
your
à toa que no PUBG ela prova. Ah, então é essa panela que é a no PUBG? Ah, tá,
cutting board. Grab a
caralho.
dough ball and then hit that with a little bit of flour as well. Using a rolling pin, I'm going to gently
sabia que
roll
era
this
ela.
thing out a bit,
Ó,
and I'm
passa a
going to
rola,
flip
quer
it
dizer, o
over
rolo,
and
né?
turn it 90 degrees.
Rola não vai fazer resultado, é rolo.
This helps keep things even and round. Of course, if it's sticking, we're going to hit it
Parece
with a
uns
little bit more
R$1.000
flour
fáceis. mais.
And continue to roll things out until it's about 12 inches or
Pra
so.
mais, né?
This is really where it starts to look comically like a pie crust, by the way. Once we're at about 12 inches round, we're going to grab our cast iron and make sure it's about 1.5 inches wider on each side. That's looking good. Next, I'm going to flour the dough and then gently roll it up on the rolling pin just to move it off to the side for a second. I'm going to grab the cast iron and we're going to hit that with a generous 2 to 3 tablespoons of olive oil. Yes, this seems like a lot, but
é azeite pra caralho mesmo,
one of
viu?
the secrets to making a perfect deep dish is the fried dough. So really get in there and spread
então a
it
massa fica meio
all around.
frita.
I'm going to move the dough over to the pan and try and roll this thing off gracefully. Nope. Once we've got it in there, we're just pushing and forming this thing into the sides and corners. You want about 1.5
Fica meio de cara de torta, né? Esse procedimento de deixar nas
2
bordinhas
inch
assim.
deep pizza dough. And to get that, I just push it a bit further because things are going to slide down and settle.
Caramba, mas parece que ele tá fazendo a torta, tipo, de tão fundo que é, né? Pra massa pegar e tal.
Cornmeal butter bomb pie crust laid out. It's time for us to build a pizza. I'm gonna grab my cheese, my sauce, the sausage, and a chunk of Parmesan from the fridge. Today I'm making just one of these 2 pizza balls because I'm just one man and I'm not insane, but this recipe will easily feed 3 to 4 people. We're gonna start with
vai alimentar pelo menos umas 4 pessoas, né? Amém.
This is the most iconic part
4 pessoas, uma com muita fome,
the
né?
cheese goes down first, and to a lot of people that
colocando
seems
muito do
really
queijo que ele
crazy,
ralou
but
lá,
it's
beleza.
necessary for this style. The cheese acts as a foundation for the toppings and the sauce.
Taca queijo, quanto que você puder colocar, coloca.
About 10 to 12 ounces of
Regra
that on
clara,
there. Kind
cara.
of press
Pizza,
the
quanto
sides
mais
back up
queijo,
with it as
mais
needed. Behind that, we're going to lay down the Italian
mais melhor,
sausage
quebrou
into
português.
about 1/2 ounce chunks spread across this
A
evenly.
carninha que ele
This
dá
might seem
aquela
like a lot of
temperada,
sausage, but
tá?
I assure you that in terms of Chicago standards, this is a moderate amount of sausage. Lou Malnati's is famous for making one with like 2 pounds of sausage on
Tem
it.
legendinha, tá, galera? Pra quem tá meio perdido, talvez só querendo escutar. Tá?
Behind the
Pra quem não
sausage,
manja
we're
dos
going to do the
English.
sauce. After it's cooled down, it gets pretty thick, but that helps us out. It makes for an easier
Cara, essa
pizza
massa
build.
e
But this
esse
thicker
molho dele tá
crushed
bem
tomato
grossão,
sauce
né?
is also
Deixou ele
a
cozinhar
huge
uns
part
20
of the
minutos, eu acho.
structural integrity of this whole setup. To
Só
finish
ver
off
essa
this
pizza aí.
beast of a pizza, we're going to add some grated Parmesan. For that, I like to go
Essa
with
acho
the
talvez
domestic
dia que eu
stuff.
tô
We
com
don't
muita
need to
fome,
spend
talvez.
$20
Olha,
a
o queijinho
pound on the Italian
parmegiana.
Parmesan. And then finally, we're going to hit with some chili flakes on top. Okay,
Cara, é
this
muito
pizza in
molho,
this
tá,
pan
porra.
weighs like 8 pounds. I'm gonna load it into a
Se
preheated
for ver, ele encheu de molho, né? Tipo, de molho de queijo e de carne no centro da pizza.
420
Botou um monte de chocolate de tomate em cima do queijo, sim.
degree oven, and I'm going to set a timer to check back after 25 minutes. This is just to make sure things are looking solid. Everyone's oven's a little bit
Essa é a
different. But
característica,
all
né,
day,
dessa
this
pizza de
pizza should take
Chicago.
about
Não sei.
35 to 40 minutes.
Se ele me fez
After
assim,
35
deve ser
minutes,
assim.
things are looking really good. This pizza, absolute monster. Oh
Não é?
my God. I'm going to let that cool for about 10 to 15
A beleza eu não achei tão bonita, não vou mentir. Sinceridade é tudo aqui. Me parece que é tipo, sei lá, uma torta de molho de tomate, tá ligado? Virou uma torta.
minutes. Then we're going to dish it
Vamos
up
ver ele
and eat
abrindo,
this
ó.
thing. Let's go in for a bite.
É,
It's got a
fica
crust bite. What do you
parecido.
think? It's kind of crispy. It's got a little crispiness. Cutting the butter
Não tô falando que é ruim, tá maluco? Porra, deve ser gostosão, mas parece ser mais torta do que
like
pizza.
we did
Ponta da massa é bem inchada
right
e
at the
tal.
beginning gives us a really tender, really flaky crust. I tried this multiple ways, like I mentioned earlier. I laminated it. Wasn't good. This is the ultimate. I mean, truly, I'm stoked. Like, this is a 10. This is a 10, dude.
É uma torta. Tipo uma torpizza, né?
Thick sauce, homemade sausage, shredded, full fat Maz, cornmeal butter crust, baby.
Canalha.
Don't mind if I double do.
Irmão, você falou que isso
I'm
era
trying
uma pizza, cara. Onde é que tem a pizza aqui, mano? Porra!
Close this thing and I'm full.
Onde tem a pizza, cara?
I'm like, that's how you know it's good. It's like you've got the Chicago pizza sweats. Okay. But let me know in the comments down below. What's your favorite Chicago style pizzeria?
Irmão, quero uma pizza, não uma torta. Hoje, de verdade mesmo, parece muito que é uma torta, que só que, né? Porra, cara, nossa, cara, aí nós fomos baitados.